Let's talk wide receivers. Okay, we've got 4 here in the first round. You've got Carnell Tate, you've got Jordyn, Tyson, you've got Makai Lemon, and Denzel Boston. Let's go back to the top here. You guys have Carnell Tate going 8th overall to the New Orleans Saints. Interesting, we have Lance Zierlein's comps here from NFL. He apparently compares him to Chris Olave. I've seen so many different type of comparisons for Carnell Tate. I mean, I've seen all the way from like Chris Olave to I've seen other people say George Pickens. I've said like the pre-hiatus from the NFL, Calvin Ridley at times, but then the more I've seen of him, maybe I don't love that. The bottom line though is if you've got this many like interesting good comparisons, it means you're good at a lot of different things, which is what I think Carnell Tate is.
Is there some Devontae Smith there?
Yeah, and kind of the like way he moves at the top of the routes. Yeah. He is very long-limbed and consistently catches the ball away from his
that's
frame.
why this summer I really liked him. I thought of him as a top 20 guy, and then he's just only done even better than that, and that's the ball skills. He plays big.
That's where the Pickens comp for people comes in.
I totally get that because the sideline catches show up all the time. Totally. And I think that hand-eye coordination with the range because of the length that he has, that I think he's got pretty good height and everything, but I think he plays bigger. Do I think he's a true one? I don't see that kind of upside, but I think just like Devontae's a little better, but like a high-end 2 type where it just very good against zone. I'm curious what your aspects are or what you saw. But I thought good against zone because of his feel and because of that catching range. It could show up maybe in the red zone. Also, his quarterback doesn't do him any favors.
No.
That's one I'm already fighting on. I see people see him as like the top guy battling with like Arch, and I'm like, I know, guys, he's like round 3 at best right now. And I think too, I don't know. He's kind of a quarterback's best friend to me. That's how I've watched him this year. I think he was a little more explosive this year than maybe I was expecting, which isn't fair because he did have some down the field plays the year before. But I don't know. I just really like his game. He's friendly to me, and I've been battling how high I rank him. But I do think he's a guy that deservedly is going in the first round and getting that hype and everything. I don't know. There's just a lot I do like about him, traits-wise and kind of play style friendliness-wise.
Yeah, I think he just really fits as a perimeter receiver too, which is why I actually kind of like him a lot in this Saints offense. Like that destination would be fun because they kind of have a guy who's a little bit of like on the fringe of being like I think Chris Olave is a 1, but it's like where does he rank within the 1s? And I think Carnell Tate might end up being that type of guy for me too. Like he's probably a 1, but where does he rank within the 1s? Be cool to have like those 2 guys in the same room. And Olave played a little inside out this year. Like Tate, I think could be inside out, so it allows a lot of like pre-snap flexibility for those guys. And yeah, to me, I just love the way he stacks like man coverage defenders on the outside. He can gain a lot of ground, and even when he's got guys in his hip pocket too, he's such a good ball tracker. I just think he's going to be he's a guy I would comfortably take in the top 10 like this, and especially it seems like in this draft, especially. It's a little bit similar. I don't know if I like him more than I liked McMillan last year. I might like Tate a little bit more, but McMillan was a guy for me who's like, in this draft, like you definitely take him top 10. You feel pretty good about it. I think I actually might like Tate a little bit more, but again, pretty easy player to like.
Game is very just projectable.
Totally.
And I don't want to use high floor. Like I don't want to use that phrase, but his game just translates easily in my head. Yeah, it's like no matter scheme proof is always a big compliment I can give. It's like no matter what, I can just see him working out.
I like that.
Yeah, and that's why like he might end up my receiver 1 just almost. And I don't want to say default in a bad way. Just I think his game checks a lot of boxes for me, and it's safest to me in a weird way.
I'm gonna skip actually the next player you guys have drafted, and I'm gonna go to the next receiver at 21. Pittsburgh Steelers taking Makai Lemon. The reason I want to skip that is 2 reasons. One, to me, what I've seen so far, I think it's those 2 guys. I don't know about this dropping this, that, and the other because like I don't know anything about these prospects until I start looking at them. And to me, I think I've only charted 4 games, which is like half of a reception perception sample. But to me, I think there's a first tier of Tate and Lemon, and then I think it's a drop to the next group there. And for Lemon though, the other reason I wanted to group him with Tate there is not just because of that tier, but also you mentioned like scheme proof for Tate. I think the biggest pushback maybe with Lemon, because you watch this guy, it's like he's an unbelievable player. Yeah, I freaking love him. Like he's awesome. I posted a compilation of like some of his catches from that Iowa game, especially. It was just like probably one of the best wide receiver films I've ever seen for a prospect. He's awesome. But do you view him as a guy that is like more limited? Is he a slot only guy? Is he maybe less scheme proof than a player like Tate?
Of all these players, he's the one I'm most curious what his measurements are.
Same. I'm like, dude, please. Him and the Texas A&M receiver Casey. I'm like, don't be above 190
and
195, please, preferably.
Sounds like a cop out, but that's like what I'm waiting on before how I gauge him. Because if he doesn't hit some benchmarks for me and weight, length, because then it's not Wendell Robinson,
totally.
But it's are you going to be slot only? And I think no matter, even if he is slot only, he can be a top 3 receiver in your passing game.
100%.
Yeah.
But if you're taking this guy in the top 15 picks where he's starting to get mocked,
and this is my snaps impacted kind of thing, because then if you're specific that you're slot only, is it become the Christian Kirk issue? Okay, because you're slot only, now we need an outside guy.
Perimeter guys. Yeah, totally.
That's my biggest hang up with him, because I agree with you. When his tape's awesome, and his ball skills are great, his sticky hands, and he can create with the ball in his hands. And like, it's like the downside of him, or like the low end comp for him, is maybe like Pop Douglas. Like, and that's what scares me.
Or like Josh Downs, a guy that I think is an awesome player, but had like 500 yards this season, because that slot archetype, like we go back to the Seahawks section, the lesson learned, like that is disappearing. So you have to be somebody that in 2 receiver sets can play outside. You can even play on the line of scrimmage in condensed formations. I do think when I watch him, I think I see that guy, but not every team is going to see that if he's, and like, again, knock on wood, I don't think he doesn't look like this on tape, but if he's like 5'9", 190, like he's not going to be.
You got to be realistic on it, and that's why. So, but the thing is, I consider, and I'm still sorting it through, because it's just like every time I watch these guys, I'm like, oh, I like this one, and that's what I think is great about this receiver class. Is the flavors.
There's something for everybody,
and so I group these guys very similarly. Like, as far as if I have my true grading, like, as far as like light blue, I guess would be my best way to put it, which isn't like. A hard blue for me is like easy lottery pick. Doesn't matter where the draft class is. This guy locked top 15, you're taking him. Like, light blue for me is like, okay, top 25. I can make an argument for this. Teams that need a receiver, they could be a low end 1, high end 2, yada yada. Just again, different flavors. But when I look at, that's why I want to see what the measurements are. Whether like Jordyn Tyson from Arizona State, medicals, because that's going to be a big hang up for him, and rawness, which we've talked about a little bit before, is that going to be the knock for him? And then every guy has just a little thing you can poke at that can drop him, or all the good stuff that can rise him. So I think when draft classes like that, it's going to be so hard to predict, because a team that has a top 10 pick is like, that's great about your draft boards. We want this guy. And that's how it goes with these.
It's just sometimes is that way at wide receiver too. Like, I remember when Justin Jefferson was coming out, and it was just like, let's see that 40, and then he ran like a
4.50 or 4.4, somewhere
but it wasn't a 4.6 or anything. It's like, okay, we feel a lot better. But I know that seems stupid, because Justin Jefferson's like one of the best receivers in the league, but you're just looking to check that box. So that's that one I'm going to be like dialed in on at the combine, is like Makai Lemon. If you're closer to 5'11", 200. He's a perfect receiver for the modern era, and it's going to be great. Jordyn Tyson specifically next. He's a guy that, again, I wouldn't say I have struggled with him. I'm just not like quite sure what he is. And I don't think he's bad by any means, but again, 4 games into the charting, I'd like to have a better sense of like we said with Lemon and Tate. I got a good sense of what those guys are. I don't think the next 4 games is going to like drastically change how I'm going to project them. With Tyson, I'm actually kind of looking for more information in those next 4 games, because I do think route running really raw, not 100% if he's more of like a big slot convert or what, because like I said, he's just a hard player for me to get a handle on. Like, what do you sort of think of him as an individual talent?
I think Garrett Wilson's doing a lot in my head, and it's kind
of Wilson,
kind of like the rawness, twitchiness. They're not a perfect comparison. I'm saying just kind of like not to get too low on those types of guys.
Totally,
These types of guys are usually red alerts for me, but there also can be a blind spot for me, and so that's why I'm cautious with this one. And that's why I kept going, like, you might like him because I might be missing something. I've actually been more encouraged about it. It's just that he's so twitchy and his ball skills and be able to his catching range. Like, he has, and I mean this in a good way, but also this might be a negative, Jahan Dotson. Remember how his ball skills were amazing, but then who cares? You couldn't do anything else. You couldn't get open to use that ball. Those balls.
Luckily, they're probably not the same size at all.
Bigger, exactly. No, and that's what helps. He's a guy I was lower on, got warm on in the middle of the season, and now I've kind of I feel like I'm okay. Like, he might be at the bottom of the stack when it's all said and done. The stack being the 4 guys we're talking about here. But it's a guy that the injury stuff is going to be very real. You don't have that many CL injuries. Name one, he's had it.
Yeah.
And it's hard, and especially when these guys are so close together, that's going to be the tiebreaker.
Yeah.
And that's just being realistic with it. I think ideally he goes to a team late first, early second, where he doesn't have to be the dude, and he can hone in on the twitchiness and the traits that he does have. So it's a guy that there's stuff that's really appealing, that when it works, but there is a lot of rawness. And it's like to kind of like wave that away is kind of like where people make mistakes.
I don't think he's going to chart out the same way, but just like vibes wise, it's a little bit like how I felt about Quentin Johnston in that draft class, where it's like, yeah, he's probably going to be fourth of the guys that I like, which is where I sort of ranked QJ, and I still had him as like a late first.
But he ended up going one, right?
But he went higher than that, and then it was just like, you tell me that guy ends up eventually being a really good pro, I could believe it. And I think he's obviously rounded onto a solid player, or you tell me that guy's just like an outright, it isn't going to work, which is what it looked like in year one for QJ. I could believe that too. And it kind of depends on destination is destiny for a guy like that too. So yeah, he'll be interesting again. I really do like a lot of what he brings to the table, but just of these players, I think he's kind of the one I've maybe grab. I just still need more information on him.
Right.
With the next guy though in the group, which you have LA Rams taking Denzel Boston at the 29th pick. You really like Denzel Boston. You've said this already because this
is fantasy booking. This is I saved him to like go with the Rams. That's really
okay. I do like it though. So, but what do you like about Denzel Boston? Because I know he's a player. You've already mentioned like, oh yeah, he's a big wide receiver. You like him, of course.
He's a true X, and I think that's why I like him. I like guys that can win vertically, can win isolated. I think as I've watched more of him, is that some of his yak stuff is just meh. Like he's just getting north and stuff.
Yeah.
So I don't have him in the same tier as I was higher on T-Mac than you were. I remember us talking about it, but I don't have him in that tier. I don't view him as that, which to me was a top 10 guy. But I think Boston to me has a lot what the league wants. He has size. He can win outside. He can win inside too and be that kind of zone beater on the inside.
I've liked some of his zone coverage.
His feel is pretty good and his catching range is good and he's consistent. Like he comes down with those plays there, what he should come down with. He plays big. He returns punts for them. And
that's crazy.
Which is a sight to see. He's a guy that I'm trying to be realistic where I compare him, but he has a skill set that's kind of hard to find. Everyone wants a guy like this, but they don't have him. So that's why I like Boston a lot. I ended up with the Rams with him because I was just like, I want them.
Yeah, you want it. Yeah, you want it to happen.
The world's biggest receiver trio.
That would be pretty exciting. You mentioned being realistic with comps. This is where I told you I got a little take I want to uncork, and it's being completely unrealistic to a player that like I never compare guys to this player because I think he is a one-of-one unicorn. And I'm not saying that Denzel Boston is Mike Evans, but like there's so many times where he runs routes from the prem. Like that is the closest thing I've seen to Mike Evans ever because he's got those.
Mike Evans is great.
He's got those long ass strides, the big arms, and it's just like again that is so singular to Mike Evans. But I've been teasing that one for you, but like again, I don't know that he might be like poor man's Mike Evans. It's like flashes of Mike Evans. But
I get it.
That's a pretty exciting player. I'm not saying he's going to have like 1,000 yards every season, but pretty exciting player.
That's it. Mike Evans had a nice long career because he translates to any area, and I think that's what Denzel Boston does. So I'm glad to hear you say that because Diet Coke Mike Evans is actually pretty good.
Yeah.
Because Mike Evans is also like 235.
Diet Coke of a Hall of Famer, that's pretty good. Yeah. You've got, of course, running back and a tight end, Jeremiah Love, Kenyon Sadiq. We don't have time to talk about those guys today, but we got plenty of time to unpack them throughout the rest of the show. So listen, draft season just started, so we don't need to go through the whole gamut right away, but that is going to do it